It's another edition of Kaleidoscope right here on Channels Television. Hello and welcome. I'm Anne Nwawadu. On the program today, we speak with the Executive Director of MTN Foundation, Odunayo Soya, where she revealed the giant strides that the foundation is making in driving impact in the society. We take a look at the past, the present, and the future. Once again, welcome to Kaleidoscope. Once again, welcome to Kaleidoscope. MTN Foundation is the corporate social responsibility arm of MTN Nigeria, a platform created to give back to society. Let's tell you more.
MTN Foundation was established in 2004 to manage corporate social investment initiatives for MTN Nigeria Communications PLC, and it is one of the first corporates in Nigeria to launch such an initiative. It was commissioned in May 2005, with MTN Nigeria Communication PLC committing up to 1% of its profit after tax as its main source of funding for the projects. Over the years, MTN Foundation has made significant strides in health, education, and economic empowerment and invested over 31.8 billion naira in the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. With constant partnerships with both public and credible private organizations to execute sustainable projects, MTN Nigeria Foundation remains committed to enhancing the lives of Nigerians through targeted corporate social responsibility initiatives.
Let's now hear from the Executive Director of MTN Foundation, Odunayo Soya. Let's begin with what inspired the creation of the MTN Foundation.
The MTN Foundation established in 2004, and the main spirit behind the foundation, the creation of the foundation, is that at MTN we believe that we're custodians of transformational change. We have power to catalyze change, and so the founders, it was important that we carry along our communities where we operate in. In fact, at MTN, we believe that we're only as good as when our communities are good, and that we will thrive as a business when the people in the communities that we operate in do well. And so that was really the thinking behind setting up of the foundation. And MTN is in a number of operating countries, and every country has an MTN Foundation. And so it's really about ensuring that the people we serve are good, contributing, strengthening systems, whether it's health, education. And there's something we say at MTN, I call it our statement of faith. That's my personal interpretation. And what it says is just that we believe at MTN that every individual, everyone, deserves the benefits of a modern connected life. When we say it, a lot of people think the connectedness in there is about data and voice, but it's really not. Those are merely enablers, but we believe that we occupy a very special position where we are able, whether as the main business or through the foundation, to close the gap for people between them, where they are now, and where they want to be, between themselves and their dreams and their aspirations. So really, that's the story of the MTN Foundation. And so MTN, decided the foundation is fully funded by MTN Nigeria, and it's fully funded through a mechanism I also have tagged as a dedicated commitment, where MTN Nigeria sets aside 1% of its annual profit after tax to fund, as a sole donor of the foundation, and this has gone on now for 21 years, unbroken.
Let's talk about the sectors that MTN Foundation pays attention to when it comes to corporate social responsibility.
When the foundation turned 20, we went through a rebranding, and we relooked our vision, mission, purpose statements, and of course the identity of the foundation. And for us right now, the focus is, there are three areas. The first is capacity building, the second is health, and the third is economic empowerment. So you will find that these three focus areas will find expression through the various interventions and initiatives that we execute. So, for instance, you would, when we talk about capacity building, this finds expression through our scholarship programs. We have a scholarship program that has run for about 16 years, scholarship for young Nigerians studying STEM in public universities. We also have a scholarship for blind Nigerians studying in the universities, public universities. We also, during COVID, we thought it was important, people celebrate musicians, celebrate, people in the arts, but we thought it was important to encourage young Nigerians. And then we came up with the top UTME scholarships. And so we started that in 2020. And what we do is that every year we give the top 10. And there could be more than 10. There could be ties. We've had instances like that. We also working with JAMB. So we get the information from JAMB, and then we engage them, and then they have the scholarship through school. The interesting thing about the MTN scholarship, though, is that it's a scholarship for excellence. Recently, we launched the Digital Skills Academy, the MTN Skills Academy, and what it is, we launched it in April this year in partnership with Coursera. So we put together, it's a platform where Nigerians, license-based, but we have paid for the licenses, so it's free to learn. And we've done what we call stacked learning, where you want to be certified as a cybersecurity expert. One course wouldn't do you good. You can't be deep. And so we've stacked the learning, and you could take about 10, 12, 13 courses, and you're certified, but all fully borne by MTN through the foundation. We also have a number of other programs. For instance, the ICT and Business Skills program, where we train young Nigerians that are entrepreneurs. We also recognize that it's everyone will not work in MTN. Everyone will not work in channels. There are only so many people that can get into those structured organizations. And so we thought entrepreneurship was another good, path for young people. And so we'll take them through with our partners, Google, Microsoft. We have a number of ecosystem partners, how to use digital platforms and skills to scale their programs, their businesses. And you find that till date, I think we've trained about almost 10,000 of young people. And recently we will give the top 10% of them an equipment grant. And under health, we're very clear. Health is very important. And over the years, we've done a lot with general hospitals. We've set up a number of hemodialysis centers and mammography centers across Nigeria. However, of recent, we've doubled down on healthcare at the primary level. So we do a lot of work at that level, revitalizing and remodeling primary healthcare centers. And interesting, the last intervention we had, we revitalized 49 primary healthcare centers across Nigeria. Interestingly, all we do spans the whole 36 states and the FCT. Until date, I think we have, I believe we've reached about 4,000 communities. I understand Nigeria has 8,000 wards, political wards. So we will count until we hit, the 8,000 wards. We are at about 520 local governments. We want to celebrate the 774th when we do, get there. I was talking about the primary healthcare center, the recent program we had. It was very interesting because it was a turnkey, like we had not done before at that scale. And so what we did was we would remodel the physical structure. We remodeled the physical structures, and we also set up alternative power, very important for sustainability. We believe we shouldn't be contributing to carbon emissions and things like that. So we did set up alternative power, battery and solar, for all the primary healthcare centers. And interestingly, of the 49 primary healthcare centers, only one had water. And so we had to set up, solar-powered boreholes. We trained, we swapped out equipment, and, we kitted them better. We gave them more equipment, and we also enrolled them on the on the drug revolving fund. And so what it is that we will pay for them to be enrolled, and that payment enables them to get medications. However, now that we have onboarded them and made the payment and funded that, it's easier for them because they get medications at very reduced prices. So that was it was quite interesting. And another interesting thing about our health projects is to identify. People tend to ask us, how do we identify the communities that we go into? The What Can We Do Together process enables us to call for nominations from Nigerians. So all the primary healthcare centers that we did, that we revitalized, they were nominated by Nigerians. So we'd open a call for nominations, they will put in, and then we together, the foundation together with our monitoring and evaluation partners will visit. I think at the last count, we visited close to about 300 communities to bed, the list down to the 49 that we eventually, worked in. So health is key for us. We do a lot of water and sanitation. I think till date, we have upgraded about 230 primary healthcare centers, and we have also installed at various times over 200 boreholes. Of those boreholes, about 150 of them are solar-powered boreholes. And so when we talk about economic empowerment, we begin to speak to things around our Yellowpreneur. We have a female targeted program where it's about building capacity for the women, and then and it was born out of some level of research. We had met a few women who had received grants over who had been 2 times grantees and all of that. But the business wasn't growing as much. And we realized that the money wasn't the problem. It was capacity. And so we partnered with Enterprise Development Center at the Lagos Business, the Pan-Atlantic University. And they run about a six weeks of learning, from different aspects of managing entrepreneurship. And at the end of it, the women come out with a business plan, very simplified, but a business plan that enables them to knock on doors for funding, whether loans or grants. And we then open up a pipeline to get about 200 of them into a pitch pipeline where they can access funding, fully put on the table by MTN through the foundation. The first phase of it, we worked with Bank of Industry. The second phase, we've worked with Zenith Bank. And we're moving on to a bigger phase, we believe. We have a program an intervention we call the Anti-Substance Abuse Program. It was born out of the fact that in 2019, there was a study, sponsored by the UNODC, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. And the interpretation of the study was that you had a little over 14 million Nigerians who regularly, who abuse drugs regularly. And it's worrisome. I haven't spoken about those who have tried it, but those who are, addicted. And it was a lot in the youth population. And as you know, we're a young country when it comes to demography. I think our median age is 17. And drugs have become a menace to that particular, demography in Nigeria. And so we worked with the UNODC and the NDLEA, the Nigerian Drugs Law Enforcement Agency. And we came up with the program ASAP. Not as soon as possible, but the Anti-Substance Abuse Program. And it's been on since 2019. And it's an advocacy platform where we get messages across to young people. We have a training program, a sensitization program for the young Nigerians. As we target secondary schools because the objective is to see how we can contribute to the reduction of first-time drug users. And we believe that at secondary school, that is where we can really, get them. And so we started this, and in fact, we just finished the quiz competition. We'll sensitize them, take them through various curricula that had been shared with by the UNODC and the NDLEA. And it's been interesting. I think till date, we have sensitized over 60,000 young Nigerians, and they're ambassadors. We also have trained over 1,000 teachers in using that curriculum. Let me share this before you ask your next question. I could go on and on. I'd like to talk about the Teachers Fellowship program. We call it the MTN SAIL Teachers Fellowship program. We started it last year because we believe that education everything is a value chain. We might not be able to take on the entire value chain as a whole, but identifying parts of the value chain that we can strengthen. And so that's the story of a lot of our interventions. And when we started, we trained 4,000 teachers in partnership with SAIL Innovation Hub and the CC Hub. We trained 4,000 teachers, and they're all doing well. We trained them in pedagogy, we trained them in inquiry-based learning, and we trained them in the use of digital skills within the classroom. And you see how those things create an impact, because the feedback from the monitoring and evaluation is that, more students are now able to participate in the classroom. Things are getting better in the classroom. And this year, we did open a call for application, and we're looking at training 5,000 teachers.
So when you look back at all you have achieved, talking about impact, how impactful these initiatives or the projects you've carried out under the MTN Foundation has been, can you smile and say, we did it, we're doing it? That's that cheerful smile, you just say, yes, this impact is showing that there's something great that MTN Foundation is doing.
I'll respond to your question with two stories. And the first story is about a gentleman. We were in the office and we got a letter from this gentleman. He's a consultant, he's a specialist in trauma care. And he had written us at the foundation saying he wanted to give back. And we're wondering, give back, how, why? We discovered that he'd been a recipient of the scholarship, and he studied medicine, and he received. Recall I spoke about it being a scholarship of excellence, and you could get it for as long as you will maintain your CGPA, and I think he got it about 5 times while he was in school. He was now a consultant. This was years after, and that's one story. We later met with him, Dr. Wale Adu. He's doing very well, and he's doing well, in his field. He runs a clinic, and he has his business where he cares for. He's a specialist in trauma care. Yeah, so he does that. Another story is a young lady called Munira. She was a recipient of the MTN scholarship. And then just into COVID, we didn't know COVID was going to hit. And 2019 into January 2020, we wanted to pilot an entrepreneurship program with our scholars, just to see with a small number whether it was going to yield the results that we thought we would get from it. And Munira participated. We called it the Youth Entrepreneurship Development Program. And she would make bags and shoes and bags from Ankara and Ashoke materials. And a few months, I think when we're back 2021, from the long COVID sit at home, work from home, I saw the person in the office. Munira now had an MTN lanyard, and she was my colleague now. Oh, wow. And I'm like, wow, And she came into to MTN through the Graduate Development Program. That is an MTN program. Because MTN itself, the DNA is giving back. And so that's another story. I could go, on and on. For us at the foundation, our stories are not just written in books. And there's one of our adverts that says our stories are not just written in boardrooms. And it's so true. It's about every life that we get to touch. It's about that person that we may never meet, but does better because of MTN Foundation. So for us at the foundation, it's every number is a human being. It's beyond the numbers. It's about that person who is in that community we will never meet, but because of MTN, through the foundation, they get better. The community gets stronger. And so for us, I like to describe our jobs, the work we do at the foundation as a calling, more as a calling rather than, a job. And MTN does make that possible for us every day to reach out. So yes, looking back, there's a lot to look through. The numbers look good. MTN has invested about 33 billion since inception, naira, since inception through the foundation in various interventions. We have touched about 520 thereabout local government areas in Nigeria. We have touched about a little over 4,000 communities. We have directly impacted about 33 million Nigerians and indirectly over 100 million. We could go on, about the numbers, but it's never really about the numbers, but the humans, the lives that have been touched. And I'll just round up that question by telling you a story also around the PHCs that we recently revitalized. We have reports telling us, there's improved, there's reduced maternal mortality and there's reduced neonatal mortality. And I think there's nothing that gives you much joy than to be able to see that because of what you have been empowered to do, another child can live beyond the age of 5. Another child can live, beyond the first few minutes of life. Another mother can carry her baby. She doesn't have to go home without, her baby. So we really look forward to the next 10 years, 20 years, and kudos to everyone that has passed through the foundation at different levels, because we have people who started it, and they're not with the foundation anymore, but everybody's effort is what has led us up to this point.
So which brings me to my next question about how well you work with partnerships to achieve your set goals at MTN Foundation.
So we do a lot with partners, and I think I've mentioned a few of them in the course of the interview. And partnerships for us is very, very extremely important. Important because our 1+1, we believe at the foundation that with partnerships, our 1+1 is 10, not 2. And so we do a lot. There's hardly any intervention that we do by ourselves. It's either we're working with government, public sector, or we're also working with private sector. So I'll give you examples. The Primary Healthcare Center just revitalized, the 49. Of course, we worked with the MPHCDA, the Primary Healthcare Development Agency. We worked with PISHAN, the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria. We worked with state ministries of health, and of course also the Federal Ministry of Health. And so, because you can't do it alone. And it's not all about bringing money to the table, but it's a lot around the expertise. It's a lot around owning it together. And I think the greatest partnerships will be the partnerships with the communities who open up to us and, accept that where we can come in and make a difference, because if they shut us out, there's really nothing we can do. So we continue to work. We have ecosystem partners in when it comes to digital literacy, firms like Microsoft, Oracle, IBM, AWS, and quite a number of them. And we also, when it comes to the Teachers Fellowship, the state boards for education, the national boards for education. So we believe a lot in partnerships.
When you look into the future from where you're sitting, where do you see the MTN Foundation, maybe in a few years' time, in terms of what you hope to achieve as a business, of course, as the MTN business, and as the foundation?
Well, I believe that the future is bright. And like people say, we're going to need a pair of sunglasses to really look into it. But that's on a lighter note. I see a strong future for the foundation enabled by MTN Nigeria. I see, us doing greater things, strengthening systems better, healthcare, especially in the areas of youth development through capacity building, healthcare, and of course, women development, whether in capacity building or giving them access to markets, to funds, and all of that. So for me, I see a stronger MTN foundation, a foundation that is a partner in national development, in nation building. We've been that up until this point, but we're upping the ante, and we look forward to interesting times ahead. All that we do at the MTN Foundation, we do through the lens of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and all our projects, interventions are mapped to the UN SDGs. And it's a race to 2030, even though the UN SDGs are a framework for me for development, and it could go on beyond 2030. So we want to be active, participants. We've been that. But going forward, we will strengthen our participation to pull Nigeria towards to contribute towards Nigeria's achievement by 2030. We're also fully aligned with the AU 2063 agenda, especially around youth development. We're also pushing that agenda, and also Nigeria's national priorities in the areas of health, education, youth development, and female empowerment, where also, those are areas that we will be leveraging to push us breasting the tape by 2030 and even beyond. All that we do, we're driving inclusivity, whether gender inclusivity, digital inclusivity, financial inclusivity, actually. So we look forward to interesting times in the future.
On that note, we draw the curtains on today's edition of Kaleidoscope. Don't forget, you can watch past editions of the program. Very simple. Just go to youtube.com/channelsweb, type Kaleidoscope on the search box, and scroll to find any edition of interest. That's it on the program for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Wilder. Definitely see you again soon.